Jeff and Jeremy in the Morning podcast brought to you commercial free by another podcast. You've subscribed to ours, now subscribe to theirs. It's the Slow County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Swayze. When you're done with this, go listen to something that will actually enrich your life. California DRE 01111911.
Congratulations to Jason Moore, AG, who's been selected to save my season. You want to know what he picks? He likes the Chargers. He likes Baltimore. He likes Buffalo. He likes Philly. Boy, it sounds like your picks.
I didn't pick Philly.
No. Oh, you picked Green Bay. Sorry, it sounds like Patrick and Leslie's picks, who, by the way, picked exactly the same except for one game. Let's see. He likes Washington and Minnesota. So here's the deal, Jason Moore of AG. If you get all 6 of those correct, you're going to win $50 to the poorhouse from us. And another $100 in gift cards to the poorhouse from Leslie.
Holy cow.
As a bonus. But you have to get all 6 correct. Now, if you're also going to get $50 off your next service from Be Right There Heating and Air, but you only have to get 4 out of 6. But if you get all 6 correct, Patrick and the folks at callthebee.com are going to throw in another $100 on top of that. So you'll have $150 off your service. So it's a good week to save my season. I need it, by the way.
Hey, on the Save the Season front, last week somebody won?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was
Ben Hansen won $100 to each.
Oh, wow. See, he was a big winner too, because there was a rollover situation. Because I was going to say, wow, that's right. Crazy if it rolled over. I reserve the right to change my pick. A lot of my pick of the Rams rallying had to do with them playing at SoFi, but I probably should have consulted our sports director, interim, Andy, and because he said
that news came out last night that they were going to go.
I wasn't paying attention. I get my information here, and if I'm busy during the first couple of sports reports, I'm busy during the first couple of sports reports. I didn't hear it. I didn't know anything about that. That's insanity. I don't like it. Why not move it to San Diego and Qualcomm Stadium?
Because they'd have to clean out the cobwebs.
It's not an NFL affiliated stadium.
They got cobwebs down there. They got homeless people sleeping inside the breezeways.
Why wouldn't they move it to Cal Poly?
Cal Poly Pomona? What are you talking about?
No, I'm not. No, that's too close to the action. I'm talking about Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. That would have been a tight little...
or Levi Stadium?
No.
Are the 49ers playing there this weekend?
No, I think it's closer for them to go to Arizona than it is to go to...
no, they're done. The 49ers are done.
Oh, yeah.
See, that would have been open and ready to go.
It's a relic. And so it's true. All the Californians are going to Arizona for one reason or another.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So, so you want to change your pick?
No, I don't. I'll still stick with the Rams.
Stick with the Rams. I think the Rams,
But it's not a home game. There's no home
when
field.
Athletes face adversity.
There's no home field advantage for them.
You really see them stepping up, yeah.
There's 0 home field advantage. And, maybe I do want to change my pick. If you remember at the beginning of the season when they played the Cardinals in that stadium, they got boat raced. Bad, with 3 Ds on the end of it. Like, they got torched by the Cardinals.
I still like the Rams in this one.
Maybe they don't do well in that stadium. I'm going to take the Rams. Although I think I think I would have had a much better. I mean, I think home field advantage is huge. I do, and who knows how many of those players have homes in these areas that are affected. I'm pretty sure a fair amount of them do. So their mind might be elsewhere, whereas the Vikings can focus on the task at hand, and that is advancing to the next round of the NFL playoffs.
Do you know who Jillian Michaels is?
Yeah, she is a workout guru.
Yeah, she was on that Biggest Loser show where they lose all the weight. She started that off.
I tried her 30-minute shred once. It's a workout program, and you're like, 30 minutes? Pfft, I'll knock that out of the park. I lasted 3.
You got to work up to 30 minutes.
Never mind. Never mind.
Today it's 3. Tomorrow it's 3.5. Next week it might get to 5. It's not an overnight thing. Anyways,
I'm out.
She spoke with reporters about the direction of the state and how the No fires are being handled. Not happy.
People are dead. Homes have burned. It is not your first rodeo. It is not. And when you know that you have a state that is prone to fire, and I'm going to give it to you, you've got global warming. You have literally a tinderbox. Isn't this the part where you take the highest income tax, highest sales tax, highest gas tax, and rebuild the infrastructure? Do you know that the governor knew about this on Sunday in his own press conference? I were to pre-position fire trucks, and you knew about this on Sunday? And you called the National Guard in days later? I'm sorry. And the reason for me this is super serious is because this guy wants to be your president. This now goes from a California problem to a countrywide problem.
Yeah, this could kill his career moving forward. I don't know. But he's definitely taking.
I look at it.
So many people. I
look at it and I think of all the things that he's done that is 100% legit, and that could have 100% legitimately killed his career, and how those things haven't killed his career. And I look at this, and I mean, like, he's one man. There's nobody that could have predicted wind automatically equating fire. There's many times it's windy here and then it doesn't catch on fire. Listen, I know that there's been a lot of talk about environmental policy in which you don't remove brush that is dry because it's for the habitat of the animals. There's been a lot of talk of that. And they need to revisit that. But I think if he makes those changes, his political career's not done. You're like, hey, listen, I made a mistake. If he came out and he said, listen, which he'll never do, but if he did, he came out and he said, listen, I made a mistake. We should have looked better into better practices on keeping neighborhoods safe in areas around these dry green spaces, as opposed to saving a grasshopper. Then I think that would probably go a long way. But I think that's how people are how it's being positioned and how people are perceiving it this morning.
I don't know. He's made a lot of mistakes, and he's looked
right.
bad
I know.
more than once.
Yeah, I mean, like mistake after mistake after mistake. I mean, like it should all mount up. But his political career hasn't ended. We keep voting him in.
He says one thing.
He survives recall after recall after recall attempt.
Oh.
So his political career is
I wish
far
we
from
could
dead.
play the Adam Carolla rant that you played me yesterday, but we can't because it's laden with foul language. But it is so true, to the point where he's saying, listen, all these deep blue state guys that voted for you, that kept you in, that helped you win these recall elections, they just lost their homes. They just lost everything. They're the highest taxpayers, and they're feeling that they just got pissed on. They
paid the
like
most.
You lifted your leg on them, and they are done. They are done with you, and maybe even blue.
And you could probably find that on Twitter. What Adam Carolla said probably that resonated the most with anybody who is a small business owner in this state is when you go to rebuild, you're going to go and rebuild. You're going to get everything in line, and then you're going to go pull the permits to rebuild, and that is going to be a painstaking process because of the amount of fat that sits in our governmental system here in the state of California. Like, we have too many people. It's got to go through too many channels. So many people have to approve it. And what it is job security for the people that will fall in line and keep the power that are in power. And it doesn't affect them at all. So they will sit there and drag their feet. And, it's like dealing with, they're just there to punch the clock, come in the morning and then clock out at the end of the day.
Well, they've put so much red tape into it to, stretch out every dollar they can for the state and for local government. And
who the hell's going to insure them? Nobody's talking about the California insurance crisis.
And when you need to rebuild your business or your home, and it's going to take you over 3 years to do it because of all the red tape, that's when you're going to move to Arizona. Go ahead, Brian.
I wanted to build on Jeff's point about the governor needing to come out and apologize specifically for the bill that capped the increases on insurance. That's pretty much why they can't raise the rates and they can't keep renewing policies. So if you live in a tinderbox and they run the numbers and say State Farm has a guy or maybe some inside info that knows the water hydrants aren't full, they're going to void the warranty. Or they're going to say, hey, we can renew your policy, but it's going to be a 10% increase. Oh, sorry, the state capped it at, I don't know, 1 or 3 or 4%, whatever it is.
We can't insure you.
So they say, oh, yep. So you end up with some crazy third party.
Here's the most corrupt thing about it. Okay, and they have something called a FAIR plan? And the FAIR is an acronym for some kind of fire, insurance type thing. I have no idea what, but the state will offer you the FAIR plan, and the state will give you really bad insurance, just like really bad government. They'll give you really bad insurance as well, and they'll sell it to you, and it's 10 times what your premium would be normally. 10 times, if not 15 times, depending on where you live.
Just like if you have an auto loan and you let your insurance lapse, they'll just add you to their insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then you find out it's twice as much, the premium's 5 times as much, and the insurance is
It's a
actually
perfect
crap.
money-making opportunity, and it's as corrupt can be, and nobody's talking about it, and this is what California's done. They're like, okay, well, if people won't insure them, they'll have to come to the company store being the government, and when they come to the company store, they're going to have to buy the company goods, and the company goods are whatever we say the price are of the company goods.
Yep. It's kind of wild that this state is so against monopolies, but you have the setups like this and like PG&E, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a ton of examples.
Right.
Absolutely.
Certain things, institutional monopolies are full go, and including those are the ones that ran by the government. It's sick and gross.
Yeah. At a certain point, though, I'm fastly approaching you can't feel bad for a society that continues to set itself on self-destruct. Yeah,
that's true. And you see, that's why, I just saw this before the fire started. I think it was over last weekend. U-Haul released their annual report, number one state people are leaving from for the 5th straight year.
You know what's crazy?
The most beautiful state in the nation.
Yep.
Jeremy would disagree, but there's a lot of nice things here.
Oh, no,
That's
California is a beautiful
ruined
place.
it.
No. I think there's a lot of great things.
But
the nice thing that California has going about it is there's so much to offer. You get everything with California.
That's why people stay. But that is why people stay. Like if this was happening, say you lived in Iowa and you were ravaged by wildfires and nobody would give you insurance and the state came in and said, we're going to charge you 10 times as much for your insurance. Everybody, Iowa would be a wasteland.
Yes. No, good point.
Or a civil war. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
Very good point.
You too, Brian.
I think whoever. Now, obviously, Gavin Newsom, he's out at the end of his term because he can only serve for that long. But there's going to be somebody who aligns. Somebody that comes along from the other side, from the position of less government. And I think their positioning needs to be everybody likes a snappy slogan, right? Make California cool again. And I don't mean like cool as in temperature, but as a desirable place to be, because the rest of the country does not see it how they used to see it. And we sit here in our California colored glasses and we're like, oh, everything's fine, as it literally is burning around us. And that's not the truth. Everything is not fine.
Well, it's part of the problem, I think, is that it's such a big state that in certain parts we don't really feel it. In Northern California, everybody feels it because it's on the news, it's everywhere. But I'm just saying it's such a big state sometimes when you feel there's a problem happening in Northern California, Southern California doesn't feel it. When there's a problem on the Central Coast, Southern California doesn't necessarily feel it. And vice versa. So
we don't have problems on the Central Coast. Come on, what are you talking about?
I'm saying if there ever was.
I'm kidding. They just don't make national headlines.
3693, some text coming in. Make California safe again. Another one that I liked, make California livable again, which would be pretty nice.
I just posted a article over on our Facebook page about it gives numbers to the FAIR plan. And the FAIR Plan was created out of necessity because insurers were like, oh, we're not going to insure that property. It was impossible for anybody to get insurance. So the state went to insurance companies, and this dates back to the 60s, okay? So the state goes to these insurance companies, and they're like, hey, can you offer some kind of low-level basis of insurance that is just the most basic of basic insurance so these people can have something to replace the cost of anything if anything goes bad to their property. A collective of insurance companies got together and said, yeah, we're willing to do this much, we're willing to do that much. And as a collective, they were able to source the government and the government can offer this up. Your premiums are astronomically high. You're talking about like upwards, and it depends, varying on the property, of course, but it's like, on average, like $1,000 a month for your home insurance, which not a lot of people pay for that. They pay that for their home insurance. $1,000 a month is insane, and upwards. If
you're doing a little digging around, since we've been talking about this, and I know this has been a conversation that you've brought up before, and
it's something we talk about on the SLO County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Swayze quite a bit.
This is pretty eye-opening. Allstate Insurance paused sales of homeowners insurance in California due to costs of the premiums being so low in California. This was back in 22. There's a number of smaller insurance companies, but there's also Farmers Insurance. Began limiting coverage in 23 for the same reason. Nationwide Insurance, same reason. State Farm Insurance, the largest home insurance provider in California, announced last year it would no longer accept applications for property insurance and other policies in California, citing the increases in construction costs and the cap on what they could charge for premiums. Hartford, which is a big one. I mean, it just goes on and on.
So say I had Hartford.
Wow.
So say I had Hartford today and I sell you, and you're like, Jeff, I really like your house. I'd like to buy your house. I go, okay, cool. And then you ask me, who insures your property so they're familiar with it? I'm like, oh, I got Hartford because they will keep existing. Some of them will keep existing plans. Some of them just cancel those plans and you have to go find a new one. But let's say Hartford kept me on board because I was a good customer and I never had any claims and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, I use Hartford. They're great. You call up Hartford. I'd like to buy the property that was sold to me from Jeff. He had Hartford yesterday. They're like, sorry, we can't write any new policies in the state of California. You have to go find insurance somewhere else, which then jacks up the rate of your insurance everywhere else. So then what California is trying to do by keeping a cap on insurance premiums is out the roof, because your insurance will just progressively go up if there's only 5 insurance companies to pick and not 15 to 20 insurance companies to pick.
Right.
The FAIR Plan, okay, the investment in the FAIR Plan in 2020 was at $153 billion statewide. In 2024, $458 billion. So it went up 4 times what it was, or 3 times what it was in 2020 over the course of 4 years. $5.9 billion insured properties in Pacific Palisades. A lot of money to be made there by the state and their friendly insurance agencies.
And part of it is insurance is going up everywhere. It doesn't matter if it's home, auto, whatever. It's all going up, and it sucks. And it's just something.
Yeah, but those increases.
And I'm tired of hearing, well, your state pays the lowest amount of premiums, compared to the national average.
That's a lie. Well, it's a lie. It's a lie, because then you have to factor in. Okay, then go ahead and layer in all the people that are forced to the FAIR plan, and their premiums bring up the mean of all the lower premiums.
Yeah. So when you start having this conversation, like, well, how do we change this? I think we start at the top.
Everybody knows how to change it. Nobody ever does.
I know. And so, kind of like what Brian said a little bit ago, you really can't start. You have to stop feeling bad for people that continue to make stupid decisions.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
But it does affect the rest of us that would like to see a change.
And you know what really pisses me off about this is I hate it when you're right, because it happens so infrequently, and you usually victory lap for the next 20 years whenever you're right about something. But this just goes to show that you were right 2 years ago. 3 years ago.
Stop.
3 years ago.
And I'm right a lot more than that. BC Boys.
Sitting in your
Clash.
state, all comfy,
Queen,
cozy, with your nice insurance.
93.3 KZOZ rocks.
Jeff and Jeremy in the Morning podcast brought to you commercial free by another podcast. You've subscribed to ours, now subscribe to theirs. It's the Slow County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Swayze. When you're done with this, go listen to something that will actually enrich your life. California DRE 01111911.